Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Justin Timberlake.
I'm bringing sexy back.
The Forget Tomorrow World Tour. Live in Memphis. Justin Timberlake. FedEx Forum, Saturday, November 23rd. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com. The brand new single Selfish is available to stream and download now.
If I get jealous, I can't help it.
For more, hit up JustinTimberlake.com.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right, I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from the Built Ford Tough studio, FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle right there producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you didn't assume just because Nikola Jokic wasn't here for the second straight game against your Memphis Grizzlies that would be a two-game sweep inside FedEx Forum, because it didn't go down that way. Grizzlies played well on Sunday, got a victory. Had to come back and do it again on Tuesday night. It did not go the same way. Trailed by 25, lost the game. Vince Williams' exit with an ankle injury is one of them nights. We'll talk about it momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. Chris Vernon is the host of the Chris Vernon Show, weekdays noon, Grind City Media. He was inside FedEx Forum last night for the Grizzlies loss to the Nuggets. Watch the post-game show. He'll be in here in about 20 minutes. I'll chop it up with him. We'll finish talking to Vernon. Gonna take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, the official college football playoff rankings updated last night. Ole Miss is in. Tennessee is out. I'll run you through everything in about 40 minutes. Cam Jones, ECS graduate, my little homie from Memphis, went big last night in the biggest college basketball game on the schedule. He got a triple-double in Marquette's win over Purdue. I'll give you the details a little later on in the show. Shelby County Judge Bill Anderson is up to his nonsense again. I've had enough of this guy.
Yeah.
I've had enough of this guy. According to Action News 5, he has granted 42-year-old Christopher Smith a release on his own recognizance, even though Smith is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder after allegedly shooting at multiple police officers and causing a 12-hour standoff. Who thinks this is a good idea?
Not I.
Then maybe we'll have a short conversation about it. We'll do that in the third segment. ESPN and Dan Orlovsky introduced some new technology to television yesterday. I thought it was incredible. I'll show it to you. We'll do that a little later on in the show. And a hospice care nurse has disclosed what people tend to say most as death approaches. I'll tell you what she said during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. and then we'll eventually do GP's carryout, and we will call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a whole bunch to get to. But I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies because Game 15 of a scheduled 82, it was played last night right here inside FedEx Forum. It sucked. It was awful.
Yep.
Final score, Nuggets 122, Grizzlies. I don't think I got the score right.
No, you got it. 122-110.
Grizzlies 110. The Grizz took 38 threes, missed 29 of them, trailed by as many as 25 points in the game. Like I said, making things worse. Vince Williams, just 3 days after returning from a preseason injury, left the game last night. It's described as a right ankle injury. At Grizzlies PR will hit us with the update later today, I assume. Hopefully it'll be encouraging, but I'm not counting on it.
No, I anticipate week to week.
It's got week to week. It's got week to week written all over it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that last night, and it did not look good.
It did not look good. That's what sprained ankles look like.
No, and he, we talked about the Edey one where, I'm watching him go back to the tunnel, and at first guys are kind of helping him, and then he just kind of breaks away and is like, I'm going to walk back by myself. Vince Williams did not do that.
Right.
He had to be helped all the way back through the tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah, and then immediately, it turns into a conversation about injuries and training staff and everything. It's all over social media.
Yeah.
And, I'm willing to listen to some of that sometimes. Mm-hmm. That was just
yeah.
He just landed.
Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do about that?
After the
There's
game.
no way to prevent that from happening.
What do you do? I know that's not a training staff issue.
Yeah.
A guy turned his
ankle. That's just bad luck.
Yeah,
that's just more bad luck.
Yeah, there's just no way to prevent that if you're a training staff. It just happens.
Yeah, if we were dealing with, and we are sometimes, but if it was just nonstop soft tissue injuries and hamstrings, and we got those, but if it was just another, then I think you start to question, okay, are we doing everything the right way? Because this stuff keeps happening. I'm willing to have those conversations sometimes about some things, but what happened last night is not a place to have that conversation.
Agreed.
We all saw it, exactly what happened. He went up, he came down, his foot landed, place where it shouldn't have landed. Nobody's at fault. It's just, when you put 10 mostly large men on a basketball court, sometimes their feet go in places they're not supposed to go.
Oh, someone's at fault. I don't know who, but someone's at fault for this curse that's hanging over us.
We are dealing with a curse.
We are dealing with a curse,
We're
bro.
dealing with a curse.
Yes.
But I don't think you can find... This is my point.
I want to know who's at fault, so we got to take them to task.
This is my point for Grizz Twitter. We're dealing with a curse. There's no doubt about that.
There's just no question.
But you can't fire people over a curse. I don't think you can. I don't think that would be appropriate. Maybe the next injury will be one we can sit down the next day and we'll have a detailed and long conversation about why this keeps happening and whether we should do things a different way. But last night was just a sprained ankle.
Yeah.
That was no different than your dad walking down the stairs, stepping the wrong way, and spraining his ankle. That was just something that happened. It's nobody's fault. It's just, it happens in basketball sometimes, and unfortunately it feels like it happens here more than it happens anywhere else. Good news.
Yeah.
Don't have to sit with this one too long. You get to get back in FedEx Forum tonight.
Yeah.
Try to make it right. The Sixers are in town.
No, and there's obviously a lot going on with that franchise that we saw the reports yesterday.
Yeah.
Dude, real quick, last night, I saw that coming from a mile away, bro. Like when they came out flat like they did, you just could see it. You could just see it. That was the typical. We just played this team. They didn't have their best player. We handled them easily. We're playing them again. They still don't have their best player. Yep. We're going to be able to handle them easily. That's what it was.
I think there is a mental component to all of this, and it's something that I noticed in college basketball during the pandemic. What I mean is this. these back-to-back games against the same team in the NBA, that didn't used to be a thing. We didn't used to do this.
No, this is like within the last 5 years, something like that. Yeah.
And obviously you don't do that in college basketball ever.
Right.
Except during the pandemic, they did. The first season back.
That's right.
After we shut it down in 2020, we were playing with, in some cases, no fans. In all cases, limited fans. And in the spirit of trying to cut down on travel, in some leagues, among them Conference USA, I worked some of these games, so this is the way I remember it. In the spirit of trying to cut down on travel and minimize risk, because I know we all look back on that time now and people sometimes roll their eyes at all of it, but like we didn't know what we were doing and we didn't know people were dying and people were scared on some level. Not everybody, but some were. And in this, in that spirit, it was like, okay, let's cut down on flights. Let's cut down on travel. So when Florida Atlantic is supposed to play Western Kentucky twice this year, let's just go ahead and do them one on a Friday and one on a Sunday, and we'll do them both in the same place, and you get 2 games with 1 trip, and we're minimizing everything, right? And one of the things I noticed when they would do this is anytime there were comparable teams, not like a big gap in talent and ability. If the first place team played the last place team on a Friday and a Sunday, the first place team would probably win both of those games. But more often than not, when you had comparable teams playing 2 games in a row, separated by a day, which is what this was, they'd split them. They'd just split them. Whoever won the first one would lose the second one. Because there's some sort of mental component to it, exactly like what you just said. We've already beat these guys. They still don't have their best player. We'll just handle this again. And on the other side, what are they saying? Well, we can't lose to them again.
Right.
We can't take another loss with Jokic out.
Especially in the NBA Cup.
Especially in the NBA Cup. And, oh, by the way,
which we're out of again.
Can't win these games.
not completely out, but
we cannot win on a colored court.
We're never going to win.
We just need plain hardwood, traditional colors.
Yeah,
we can't win on these courts. That's been established.
Yeah.
And so on the other side, it's like, well, we can't lose another game. We can't continue to fall in the standings. So there's real urgency on one side. That's the side that lost the first game. And there's not nearly as much on the other side. And that's the side that won the first game. That's more or less what that was.
Yeah.
It's normal in all aspects of competition. I know I bring up golf all the time, but that's the only thing I compete in. Not well, but it's the only thing I do.
Yeah, I got you.
But like when you are up 3 on, through 4 holes on somebody, you do start to lose focus. Like nothing, you don't take as much. The putts don't seem to matter as much. It's like I got a 3-shot lead, or I got a 3-hole lead, or I'm.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the other person who's down 3 is like, I got to get going. There's real urgency over here, not so much over here. It's the same thing in basketball.
Yeah.
And I don't think that explains every aspect of what happened last night, but that's where it starts.
Yeah, and I mean, like they were 19 of 31 from the free throw line. That's just like attention to detail stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you got to. It was a poor performance. It was a poor performance.
It was
and disappointing. But like I said, if you want to bounce back, you get a chance tonight. Sixers are in town after a big story from Shams Charania yesterday at ESPN.com that dropped either right as our show was ending or right after the show. Because it's one of those weird big stories that like we don't get to touch it on Tuesday because we're done by then.
Yeah.
But then like Vernon can spend time with it because it came out in between our shows. So he's addressed it. I'll talk to him about it when he gets in here. I haven't. But the story more or less is the Sixers clearly struggling. They're 2-11. Joel Embiid has been hurt, sidelined, suspended in an altercation with a columnist. And they had a big team meeting after the most recent game. And in that meeting, reportedly, Shams Charania reports that Tyrese Maxey actually called out Joel Embiid and said, hey, man, I love you. I'm paraphrasing here. But, like, you are late for everything. And that sets a terrible example for this organization. And you're the leader. Everybody follows you. And what does it say about us if we're not working as hard as we need to work? We're not focused as much as we need to be focused. We're not doing the things we should be doing if we're actually trying to compete for championships. It starts with you, man. You got to be better. That's two things interesting about that. One is that it even happened, because it has to get to a pretty desperate place for people to turn on, in that locker room, the face of the franchise, a guy who was an MVP, less than 2 years ago. So that's interesting. Also interesting that it got out. Because I bet you Joel Embiid doesn't necessarily mind being held accountable. Although there's some stuff in his past that suggests maybe he does. Did you see this yesterday? It was floating around on Twitter. There was a book written back in 2015, I think, about the Sixers and the whole trust the process stuff and whatever. But there's an excerpt in the book.
Seems like a premature book, but okay.
But there was an excerpt.
I got it.
And maybe it was written later, and maybe the scene was from 2015.
I got you.
But there's a scene in this book that was published well before Shams did what he did yesterday.
Yeah.
And in the book, there's a scene of the head coach being furious because the entire staff seems to know that Joel Embiid is not working, not showing up on time. And the coach is more like, why are you not, guys, like, how's all this going on behind the scenes and you're not letting me know? I need to know this. And it's like, we tried to tell you and you wouldn't listen. And the point of the I think, excerpt was, this guy's always had a lackadaisical approach to everything. When people say he looks like he's not in shape, it's because he's probably not, because he hasn't worked. But beyond that, we can see what he looks like on the court. We can't see what time he gets to the arena. We can't see, I guess we can, but we don't often. We can't see when he walks into the practice facility if he's the last one in or the first one to leave. So we don't know all that stuff. And what you realize is, as long as everything's going fine, people will look the other way and not care. Joel, late again. Yeah, but he got 30 and 20 last night, so relax. We're fine. It's very much the Allen Iverson thing. Why are you talking to me about practice? Like, you see me in the games. You see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Why are you talking to me about this other stuff? It's interesting that it's the same city dealing with a similar thing.
Yeah.
Because sort of the mindset all along has been, that's just Joel. Let him be. We're good. He's great. It's fine. And that is fine. Up until it's not. Up until you're 2-11. Up until you look like a shell of yourself. And then people will start calling you out on it.
I hate this spot for the Grizzlies tonight. I hate it. It's a second night of a back-to-back for the Grizzlies. This report comes out. This just feels. It sounds like Embiid's going to play. It sounds like Paul George is going to play. Maxi's a game-time decision. This just feels like a get-right game for them. Like, that's why I'm really nervous if I'm a Grizzlies fan tonight. I'm just being honest.
Philadelphia is a 3.5-point favorite on the road as a 2-11 team.
I mean, right? Like we see this all the time. Team meeting, and then the team comes out and plays inspired basketball. Like
or they could come out and hate each other because
that's what I'm hoping for.
Because, and this is the point I was trying to make earlier, I bet you Joel Embiid on some level. I hope Joel Embiid on some level. I shouldn't bet on it. I don't know. I hope he's not bothered too much by being called out by a teammate under these circumstances. I hope he doesn't mind being held accountable by a teammate. If he's really chasing greatness, if anybody's really chasing greatness,
they won a championship.
You shouldn't be bothered too much by somebody holding you accountable.
Right.
I don't mind people holding me accountable. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I should do it. And if I don't mind you asking me why I didn't.
Yeah.
I like to be held accountable.
And Maxey established himself. Like, he is a star in this league now.
And by all accounts, made of the right stuff.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy who could do this. And by all accounts, he and Joel are actually tight.
Yeah, and he said as much.
Yeah.
He was like, I can say this to him because we're friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I bet you Joel can handle that. The more problematic thing, where if you want to see, because you might be right, they come out tonight and they're just like, all right, let's go. And Embiid looks like an MVP. Like, that could happen. The other thing that could happen is they come out tonight, they just hate each other.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing for your friend to hold you accountable. But this was supposed to be a closed-door, players-only meeting. Who's talking to Shams about what was said to me?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Did you call him? Who'd you talk to? Who did? If I'm Joel Embiid, I don't mind being held accountable, but I don't like that somebody in that locker room immediately went to somebody else or Shams and said, let me tell you what just happened. I don't like that part of it. If I were Joel, I don't think I'd like that part of it. I don't mind you hold me accountable.
I agree with
that.
But
why am I reading this on ESPN.com right now? That shouldn't be there. This is supposed to be between us. Somebody violated the trust in this room. Hold me accountable if you want to, but now I'm holding the rest of you accountable. Somebody violated the trust in this
Reminds me
room.
of a situation here once upon a time.
Somebody violated.
With someone that knows Shams well.
Somebody violated the trust in this room. So we'll see how you respond to that. On one hand, team meetings can jumpstart you.
Yeah.
On the other hand, a team meeting that gets pushed to ESPN almost immediately, that could mess your team up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll ask Chris Vernon what he thinks
Okay.
about it. We'll do that next.
We didn't talk about owling, and you're telling me you didn't know owling?
What the hell is an owling?
Owling is worse than Tebowing.
What is an
How
owling?
far can Kyra zoom out on this camera?
She can zoom all the way out.
Can
Are
she
you gonna
zoom
hit us?
out?
What are you doing?
I'm owling.
Okay. Wait, why were we doing this? What is that?
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Who will lead the Grizz in steals this season?
I'm going to go with Pippen for steals this season.
So I'm going to go with Jaren.
I'm going to go, as long as he's in the rotation, I'm going to go Jake LaRavia for total steals, and I'll have Marcus Smart in my back pocket for steals per game.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzlies stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. We're in the Built Ford Tough studio, FedEx Forum. Chris Vernon is the host of Chris Vernon Show, weekdays noon, Grind City Media. He joins me on Wednesdays. It's Wednesday. Why did you weren't, I don't think you were focused last night. Why were you and the team not focused last night?
What do you mean? I was locked in.
I saw you locked in.
We're dialed in, dude.
Yeah,
we were way more dialed in. We were trying to encourage them dudes.
Bennett told me the game was over in the third quarter. I said, hold on now. They got down 17. He said, it's over.
No.
And I said, don't lose hope yet.
No, Santi banged one home, and I said, okay, we back in this thing.
And then we made one of every 2 free throws we took for the rest of the game, and I was like, oh,
yeah, you might have been right.
I did get excited like for a moment in the fourth. I think it was when Santi knocked that 3 down. I was like, okay, here we go.
And then there was another one that Jaren walked into.
Right.
I think could have cut it to 5, and it was like there was still 2-3 minutes left.
And he missed that one, right?
Yeah, I missed that one, and then that was curtains.
I was talking to Bennett earlier. I noticed in college basketball during the pandemic, Conference USA they do these types of deals.
Mm-hmm.
They make Western Kentucky, Florida Atlantic, or whatever play 2 games in a row, and often when you had comparable teams, they split them. And it was a mental mindset thing. Do you think that plays a role at all?
I mean, and I also think that, for many, many years, gamblers used the zigzag theory when it came to the playoffs for that very reason. Whoever won game 1, if game 1 was close, then maybe game 2 ends up, that one gets stretched out a little bit more. If game 1 was a blowout, and you can think about a lot of different Grizzlies series that's taken place where they typically would lose game 1 on their home floor in a playoff series and then come back and win game 2. And then likewise, when they would go on the road and end up splitting those. And I think there's part of it where it's like one team is super locked in because they lost the game, because they've gone over the tape. With the Grizzlies, with the new offense, there's been a lot of players that have spoken about this year. Draymond Green being the last one, before he got into ripping Taylor Jenkins and everybody else, one of the things he talked about was how unconventional, and I think he used the word weird, their offense was. And he said 90% of the teams that you play, he goes, when you're playing against those teams, the rotations are the same. Right. Theirs is different because of the way they drive on one side and then everything is shifting over to the other side. Well, now a team saw it once.
That's right.
Right? And so they get to go back and they get to look at the tape, and now they've got to make their adjustments for the next game. The other thing is, just you think about it mentally, you just beat that team.
Right.
And I do think that the Grizzlies, I think it's fair to say they came into that game laissez-faire. Very loosey-goosey with the basketball, Gary.
Loosey-goosey.
I mean, and I don't know. I mean, we got to get Bane right. We got to get Bane right because that's not going to work if he's not any good.
No.
And Vince Williams was just an abject disaster before he got hurt.
Right.
Just did not look like himself at all. I mean, they're just trying to dribble through traffic, and I think Jaren had 7 turnovers. It was just, it was a mess.
You mentioned Vince. He obviously leaves with the ankle sprain, and then, social media does what it does. But, there's nothing you can do about that. That's just a basketball freak thing. It is what it is. That's like, I'm willing to have a conversation, broadly speaking, about injuries when they're different injuries than this, but that could have happened to anybody, me, you, or him.
Just bad luck.
It's just bad luck.
A lot of bad luck that has taken place. Yeah, the soft tissue ones are usually the ones that I wonder. Like,
are you stretching right?
Yeah, are we doing all the things? Are we doing all the preventative measures?
Right,
in order to. And the other thing is, and I've talked to you about this a lot, I worry about league-wide, like the deloading of it all, where it's like, hey, if you're constantly taking this time off, I'm not sure, and we've talked about this when it comes to pitchers, I'm just not sure that doing less leads to more health.
Right. And because it does run counter. You don't, if you're preparing for a marathon, you don't not run so you'll be ready for the marathon.
Right.
You run every day.
But I will say,
you'll be ready for the marathon.
I will say this is not a tactic for people that only pay attention to the Grizzlies. I will say you got to look around the league, and this is not a tactic that just the Grizzlies are using. This is a tactic that is league-wide and, frankly, by most of the best teams.
Yeah.
Golden State is playing a ton of guys, a ton of minutes. The team that was 15-0 until they took one loss last night, they're playing double-digit guys over 17 minutes. I mean, and you can sit there and say, why doesn't Garland play more? Why nobody's sitting around going, why doesn't Garland, Mitchell, and all these other guys
when you have a 0 in the loss column, those questions don't get asked.
And inevitably, when the Grizzlies have their full roster, when they have their full complement of players, if that day ever takes place, but even closer to their full complement of players, then you're not gonna worry about it nearly as much. It's just everything's gotten pushed down. Now you're playing more of the guys that would have been 11 through 15 instead of the guys that would have been 5 to 10.
Last night, among other things, Russell Westbrook went out and got his 200th career triple-double. Nobody had ever done that before. Well, it's weird because
it's just great to see him in person. I called my son and I said, you just don't get these moments that often. And just getting to see this guy in person, I did the LeBron James thing with him. I'm just kidding.
I love good moments like
Shut up, you idiot. Shut up.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Look, he raises the collective level of the team, and that is a team that needs their shots to be created for them, and he played the Jokic role last night.
That's the thing. Like,
that's what he did.
I saw people question when they signed him. I don't know that how great he is with a full roster, but on nights like last night, you need a Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, and I mean, look, he had 14 assists. He probably could have had 25.
Right.
I mean, he did the Jokic role. He set everybody up because that's not a team with a bunch of guys that you could throw it to and they're going to go get their own shot.
He is a former MVP. He is on the All-75 team.
Yep.
He will be a Naismith Memorial Hall of Famer, and he gets goofed on nonstop.
Well, and they had those other two guys really step up for him too, so it obviously helped his line a great deal. I'm sure Murray, took it to heart when he got all the backlash about being at the UFC fight on Saturday night. Did you see that? I mean, he was, there's all these pictures and videos of him at the UFC fight. They played a Sunday afternoon game.
Right.
You're a max player. I mean, I'd have killed him if it was a Grizzly. And then he comes back and then he throws up a clinker like he did on Sunday afternoon. So he responded.
Yeah.
And then Michael Porter Jr. had a big game as well. I mean, and these guys.
Dude, him and Watson just cooked us.
Yeah, I mean, they've won an NBA championship.
Right.
Like, these guys are not. I know they look like bums without Jokic on Sunday, but they certainly didn't last night.
You mentioned the Draymond Green podcast. What is he talking about?
Oh, he's just mad. He's just mad about.
I know, but isn't it like sort of pot kettle type? Like,
of course it is.
Like yelling because Taylor Jenkins is crying about something, and now he's crying about Taylor Jenkins crying. I mean, who cries more than Draymond Green?
No.
Bro, it's Rich. He calls Taylor Jenkins emotional. His coach is one of the most emotional dudes in the league. He's always getting into the officials. That's crazy.
Emotional. He chokes Rudy Gobert,
Right.
He punches Jordan Poole. He arguing with fans, refs, his own teammates.
I love it, though.
I want it too. I agree.
Love it.
Yes.
I love it. I miss this stuff so much.
Right.
The league needs more
We are
Draymond
missing
Green.
it. Yes.
I really believe that. We got to have hero-villain stuff. We got to have somebody you really want to beat. There's just not there's not enough juice. I love when things happen between teams because then it just makes things so much more heightened.
Right.
And I love him talking about that's why we beat them, and you know what I mean. Like I want that to be cracking again,
dude.
I miss it. I miss the fact that we don't have people that we get so juiced up that we like every time for like a 4-year span the Clippers came to town, it was like. This is the only thing that matters. We just want to humiliate these guys. The Warriors kind of took on that role, and so for the Thunder for a moment there. Hopefully, we can reignite something with them,
right?
Since they're everybody's sweetheart.
You don't think Westbrook didn't enjoy that last night? He was the villain here forever.
Of course, he did.
Yeah.
Like, gonna do that here?
Well, I think the point I was making earlier is like, I don't. It's out of whack how great his career has been. Given the level of criticism he takes.
Oh, for sure. That's because the nerds don't like him.
Right, yeah.
That's why. The nerds don't like him.
I just wonder, like, if you're Russell Westbrook and you're sitting around and people are like, hey, Westbrook, and all that stuff all the time, you're like, I am great. I have been great. Why are people making fun of me all the time?
It's because there are some, he's a jackass to the media.
Yes.
That's number one. Right. And always has been, right? He's not a jackass to other people, right? But he's a jackass to the media.
Yes.
Like, he has no time for you, and he doesn't, and so, like,
people do say that about him, though. Great teammate, terrible, great teammate, great father, great all that stuff.
Yeah.
Terrible just when he shows it to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it.
Right.
Right, for sure. And then the inefficiency thing.
Yeah.
That the world became about. Are you efficient or not, right? You are able to overlook the fact that this guy is able to do so much on the court. It's not easy to get 10 assists. It ain't easy to get 10 rebounds. No. And the guy did it for an entire season in a row. And people, even then, they still bring that one up and are mad he won the MVP over James Harden that year. And so I think that's part of it. He's not very efficient. And he's also, people have taken sides a lot of times in Westbrook versus. And in fairness, he's been on 20 teams in the last 5 years.
That's right. He's been bouncing around. Dalton Connect last night.
Oh, no.
Goes for 37.
Yeah.
Is this real?
I mean, 37 is probably not real, but I mean,
are we going to look up? The Lakers are now 10-4, and we go, man, the Lakers are the 4th seed in the West, and that rookie out of Tennessee is an important part of it.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
that is true.
That's the answer. If you want the answer to that question, yes. He is going to be a part of that because they're able to generate open shots. Now, part of that was playing against Utah last night. I thought it was so funny. You got to see this. Here, I'm going to find this. I got to play this for you. We'll just crank up my microphone so you can hear this. I saved this on my phone because I thought this was so funny. This is Will Hardy last night after the game, right?
It seemed like everybody in the gym knew that Dalton Connect was going to shoot the next shot, with the exception of a few people. The problem was that those few people were on our team.
Yikes. Is that the best post-game press conference ever? He said, unfortunately, those few people were on our team. Everybody in the world knew Dalton Connect was going to take the next shot.
I know you hate the Lakers and LeBron, but like the Lakers being good with a rookie shooter is kind of fun.
No, I mean, look, they were fun to watch last night, and good grief, look, there is nothing more fun than a rookie because it's the first time through. Right. When Zach Edey has big games, it's more fun than when Brandon Clark has big games.
For sure.
It's the way it goes, and you're also seeing now we're going to see another one tonight. You know, these guys went back-to-back in the draft.
Jared McCain.
And it's another one of those where it's like, man, you know, I've thought about this for a long time. I don't want to talk about it today, but you go, that lottery at the back end of it, like, so you say like 14 through 20. Man, you could find just mega stars and a lot of like really great role players throughout that span. And it's just this weird sweet spot in the draft where people have gotten these enormous hits. I mean, from Giannis and Kawhi, but you can even go to even more recently. Tyler Hero was taken in that span, and Paul George back in the day was taken in that span. There's a bunch of them. Every year, we find a couple more that were kind of taken in that area that were right outside of the lottery, and there's part of it where I have thought a lot about whether it's chicken or the egg, right? Is it because that's where the pretty good teams, right? That's where they draft, right? If Dalton Connect is in Washington,
right? Oh,
you know what I'm saying? I don't know which is the answer because, you know, I talk about this a lot where it's I almost view players through the prism of you take a kid. And it might be a very, extremely talented kid, but you have two different kinds of schools. And you have one horrendous school, and you have one great school, right? And so you put them in those schools, and obviously the kid that goes to the great school is going to have a much greater chance of success and reaching his potential. And you have to be extraordinary to be able to make it through the bad school, right? So, like, and I always use the example of, there was a bunch of guys over the course of a amount of years where the Phoenix Suns were terrible, right? And so they drafted all these guys. And so, like, Josh Jackson was never going to get out of the bad school, and maybe Alex Len wasn't going to get out of the bad school, whatever. But Devin Booker, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if you put him in a good school, you put him in a bad school, it didn't matter. That guy was going to be great no matter what. He was going to be able to withstand it. But 95% of these guys are going to be dependent upon what school they got into.
There's no question. I made this point. I had to go look it up. 2021 NBA draft. I remember I was on CBS Sports HQ, and you're discussing all the prospects endlessly. And I think I was asked at one point, so Toronto is reportedly looking at considering Scotty Barnes, Jalen Suggs.
Yep.
GP, who do you think ends up the better NBA player, Scotty Barnes or Jalen Suggs? You know what I said? Whichever one Toronto takes. Because the other one will go to
Orlando.
Yeah. I said whichever one they take.
Right.
It'll be them. They'll make him the best player, whoever it is. I really think that's important.
Yeah, for sure.
Get drafted by Washington, get drafted by San Antonio. I know who's going to have the better career. Not always, but there's something to that.
Oh, for sure. And so Dalton Connect's in a perfect situation is the thing right now, right? Yeah. Where and you have nights like last night. He showed us a glimpse of that in the preseason where he did it the same way. This guy can really score, man.
Yeah.
He can score.
I tell you, I sit in studio early last season before he started consistently popping, before he was on any NBA mock drafts. I was just sitting in the studio while he was reacting, and while he was like, "Who is that?" I was like, "Dalton Connect, new transfer." He's like, "He's good. He could play."
Also,
and I was like, in the NBA, he was like, "Yeah, look, shoot it, shoulders."
Yep.
Wally was like, "That's a player, I'm telling you." He's like, "Where do you have him in your mock draft?" I was like, "Well, I haven't updated in a while." He's like, "Get him in there. He can play."
Also, another one is might very well have the perfect coach for him.
Yeah.
Right? Who understands how to be able
get
to
you,
be good,
run you around and get you shots off screens, and
right?
That's JJ Redick's life.
Yeah. Whereas he might have gone to a team that's coached by Doc Rivers, and Doc's just like, man, this guy can't guard.
Right. Sit over here. You can't guard. Yeah.
That's right.
No. Yeah. JJ. I think
he doesn't care if you can guard. He played 15 years in the league without guarding.
No, it's a fast.
So he might have, honestly,
he might have landed.
He is a JJ Redick type player.
Right. Like
I
know on the night of the draft he wanted to go higher and expected to go higher. He might have landed in the perfect spot. Before I get you out of here,
he came here.
Oh, I mean, you can look it up.
He was certainly one they considered. I mean, I'll always believe, they got to that point. He's certainly a guy that they considered, even at that spot. But once the Claxton contract happened, the Hartenstein thing happened, whatever, I mean, and I'll always believe that there was, there's way too much smoke around the Clingan thing,
stuff,
right? But it still got to that point, and it was like, bro, you better have a center.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? That was a need pick.
Yeah.
You needed that.
Because
you had wings, but what you did not have was another. And what's going to happen now? Because if we don't draft this guy, we're going to go into a barren free agency.
Yeah.
And you know what the situation you're going to be in is exactly what New Orleans is in right now, where you're going, I guess we'll sign Daniel Tice, and then by week 2. You're playing Zion at center,
right?
Or Herb Jones started at center, and it's like, dude, that could really be the Grizzlies situation if you didn't take a center,
right? And at that time, you don't even know that J Huff's a thing.
No,
yeah. So you can't reasonably know that.
That's right.
And
so I don't. What I'm saying is, I don't kill him for not taking.
I'm not either. And I am like I've been wrong before. I wanted Marvin Bagley to go number 1 in the draft. Yep. All right, I've been wrong before. But on that one, on the night of the draft, you can find it. I wanted him to take Dalton Connect. That's what I said I would have done.
Yep.
And he was great last night. Last thing, Sixers in town. They have the team meeting. I know you talked about it yesterday. Story came out either at the end of my show or right after it. On one hand, they could rally around this. On the other hand, the fact that it got out so quickly and the details were damaging for the franchise player, I don't know how that sits with them. I bet you if I'm Joe, I can't speak for Joel Embiid, but if I'm Joel Embiid, I don't really mind my teammate holding me accountable, saying, "Yo, man, you got to be better. You got to show up on time." But I don't like that it was in Sham's hands almost immediately.
Or that somebody wanted that out.
That's right.
Somebody wanted that.
That's right.
To become public. I always think about these things through the lens of if it happened here. And this when it broke yesterday, one of the things he said was, bro, if it came out that Desmond Bane jumped up in front of everybody and called out John Moran for not taking things seriously and being late to everything and everything else, I mean, to me, that is the reason, and I know that's just the instance that took place, but to me, it is much more indicative of a culture issue that you have, which is... And the Grizzlies, you could argue, had this a couple of years ago when Ja was acting out and then just didn't nip it in the bud. And I think this is true of all the superstars. And I think Daryl Morey, this because of the way he let Harden just do whatever the hell he wanted to do. I mean, they would have a game. They would be on a back-to-back, and he would go to Vegas in between them. I mean, he just did whatever the hell he wanted to do.
Right.
And then, somebody like Chris Paul, when they traded for him, or Russell Westbrook, when they traded for him, when they came in there, they're like, what the hell is going on, right? And so I think that's one of those where it ends up spiraling because... Embiid just does whatever the hell he wants to do.
That's right.
Right?
And has apparently always done whatever he wants to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, it stands to reason. They won't even give you clarity on what's wrong with the guy. And I mean, he obviously gets this kind of treatment. But I do think that the fact that it became public, that is the issue.
If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, we did get a report at some point of Steven Adams saying something.
We did.
Yeah, but if I remember,
it wasn't until after the fact.
That's right. It didn't come out in real time.
No.
It only came out after the incident in Denver. That whole goes public, and then people start, well, you know.
Because I think it was literally that night.
That's the way I remember.
I think that was the story.
I think it was like Steven Adams.
We need to chill out.
Adams told John he needs to chill, and John went straight to the club anyway. But to the point, it didn't.
Lessons learned.
Nobody wanted that to come out until the whole thing blew up, and it was like.
The other thing is, John gets a pass, bro. He's 22.
Right.
This guy's 31.
Right.
He's been an MVP. He's been, this is a team. He stood in front of reporters and said, for everything I've done for this effing city and whatever else, and went and he didn't miss any practices or games in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And now he can't play for the Sixers. And he's laboring up and down the court, and it's like, okay.
It's a mess.
And then he's late to everything, and then somebody on your team obviously wants everybody knowing.
That's the part that I think causes the real problem. Yeah. Who wanted me to look like a jerk in front of the world?
Right.
Somebody in this locker room, somebody I call a brother, wanted me to look like an idiot in front of the world. Who is that? That's a problem. That's a problem.
And then
but it's their problem. I don't care about their problems. That's your problem, Philadelphia. It's not my problem.
I'm not liking this spot tonight.
Bennett doesn't like it.
I'm not liking
Bennett
this
doesn't
spot.
feel
Quit
confident.
crying. He always crying.
Dude. This doesn't feel.
Quit crying, bro.
Are you kidding me? This doesn't feel like a get right spot for them.
No, this is a get right spot for the Grizzlies.
Yes,
Okay.
Bennett, you're
All right.
looking at it from
All
the
right.
wrong perspective.
Okay.
This is get right for us.
Okay. Shut up. Shut your ass up. They're 2-11 with 2 overtime wins. Shut up.
All right.
How many times you watched the Sixers this year? It
Like
rhymes
once.
with Nero.
I've seen him.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I saw
Who?
Joel Embiid when he came back.
Against who?
I don't remember who it was. It was his first game back.
Don't ask my producer so many questions like that. Don't put him on the spot.
And he did. And he, in fairness,
I'm scared
and in
for.
fairness, he did look like crap. He didn't look good. Okay. I'll be sitting next to you tonight. All right. Well, yeah, you just wait. You just wait.
Yeah, you wait.
All right.
Bennett is scared.
I'm going to start humping his shoulder as soon as we start running
I can't
off.
wait till your shoulder gets humped tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I cannot
I'm
wait.
going to video it and send it to you.
Please do. Please do. I'll be alone in a hotel room.
This is what he does when things aren't when his predictions start going wrong, or like
I was right last night. I looked at you and said they're losing this game.
Hey, look. Let me tell you this. So him and Roser, they're like the friggin' Laravia fan.
Oh yeah, Laravia Hive, yes sir.
Laravia got his ankles broke by Russell Westbrook. I turned to him like this. Both these bastards got their headphones on and turned the other way. Hey, then 2 plays later, dude comes up, cocks it back like he's getting Greg Strother, just packs him. He lands on the ground. Both these dudes headphones. I'm sitting there like this. I'm like, where's that Laravia?
Bro, he's been playing good. Leave him alone.
This dude makes one pass and they're like, oh, Jake!
Oh, he made it? Oh, look at that skip pass.
They're like, Playmaker Jake. Yeah. And then as soon as he got dropped by Westbrook, and I was like,
well,
I mean, that's a Hall of Fame.
They didn't want to talk.
You got to remember, he lost Zaire.
Yeah. Oh, I know. He always likes the bummiest guys.
Why don't you pick a Why don't you make your favorite player somebody good?
Wait a second. Did Zaire? Whoa. Did Zaire not come in here and get revenge?
Oh, God. Who cares?
Like,
Who cares?
I mean, did y'all not watch that game too? That man came in here and cooked us.
Why can't you make Jaren your favorite player for once?
He is. Desmond Bain. Can you please start rooting for Desmond Bain so he starts cooking?
Bennett's always over here like, man, I really do love John Conchar. I mean, we all love John.
Jenny gave them good minutes last
night.
night.
We all love John Conchar, but like, you don't pick your players the right way.
Okay, well, I need our stars to shine, bro.
You ain't lying.
Yeah.
But look, it's a bounce back.
I hope so.
Bounce back. You're worried about the
I'll say this.
circumstances.
At some point, the dam's going to break and they're going to start making all these open-ass threes.
That's what Dez said last night.
I hope
I
hope he's right.
Bro, they were 12 for 80. Right? How many they hit last night?
They're 9 for 38.
No. Okay, so 9.
Yeah,
and then, and then they were 7 for 42 in the other cup game. So that is 16 for 80.
16 for 80.
We got to get out of this cup. We got to opt out of the cup.
Well, we are. We're eliminated.
We're done.
Basically.
We're just playing spoiler in the cup.
It's time to opt out of the cup. I've had enough of this cup stuff.
I hate the cup.
Just put us on some normal basketball courts.
No,
and
I
let us
actually
play.
like the cup, but watching the other cup games is great. It's just ours that suck.
I'm not having fun. I don't like the
Man,
cup.
that first cup win is going to taste so good. I may pop a bottle of champagne when we win a cup game.
It's always better the longer you have to wait.
When's our next cup game?
Next,
Pelicans?
Dallas, I think. I think it's Dallas.
Oh, it's Dallas?
In Dallas before the Pelicans.
We play Pelicans a day after Thanksgiving.
I think it's a road game against the Mavs. Hang on.
Because it's Tuesdays and Fridays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're on. Hang on.
I think our next cup game might be the Pelicans.
Well, we're going to get one someday.
At some point.
We're going to get one, buddy. It's going
to be
No, that's right. It's Pelicans. Yep.
Tastes a little sweeter.
If we don't win a cup game against the Pelicans on Black Friday.
Tastes a little sweeter when you got to work hard for it.
If we don't win against the Pelicans, I'm
I wouldn't want-
I'm going to go buy a $30 big screen at Walmart on Black Friday.
Yes.
I wouldn't want our first cup win to come easily. I want to work for it. I wouldn't appreciate it if I didn't have to work for it.
Well, now we got to watch out. Pelicans just signed Elfrid Payton.
No.
If we can't beat Elfrid Payton and the Pelicans, then I may just quit.
It's time. It might be time to do something else.
I'm out of here.
All right, Chris Vernon.
I'm
Get
going to
over
start a podcast.
All right. Get over to the big studio. That's Chris Vernon. He'll be with
Shut
you.
up, Bennett.
In an hour
All
and 10 minutes. He's bullying you.
I'm not producing his show today.
He's bullying you.
Go find
I forgot you're doing that.
go find another producer.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're getting bullied in your own studio, Bennett. You can't let it. That's what the Nuggets did to the Grizzlies last night. You were letting him do to you what the Grizzlies let the Nuggets do to them last night.
Yeah. I can't.
You are Jake LaRavia. He's Russell Westbrook.
I can't. I very well can't. Just like if they come in here and blast us
Just pop
tonight,
it. You can
stand
pop
it. I'm not doing
the
that.
The chat is saying you should pop Vernon in his
I wouldn't
chin.
do that. Vernon's my friend. I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't hit.
It's a healthy back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't really see much of a back and forth though. It felt pretty one-sided.
Oh, I think I'm cooking. I know. I already know I'm going to be right.
Bennett said, okay.
I hope I'm not.
Hey, I'm gonna let you guys figure this out. All right? It ain't none of my business. I'm gonna stay out of it. I'm gonna remove myself. I'm gonna remove myself from the situation. I'm gonna let you guys handle it.
Okay.
All right. We come back. College football playoff rankings have been updated. They're controversial. And speaking of controversy, we got a judge releasing violent folks straight out into the streets with no bond once again. What in the world's going on, Bennett? What in the world is going on?
I don't know.
We'll talk about it. We'll do it after this break.
We didn't talk about owling, and you're telling me you didn't know owling?
What the hell is an owling?
Owling is worse than Tebowing.
What is an owling?
How far can Kyra zoom out on this camera?
She can zoom all the way out.
Can
Are
she
you going
zoom
this?
out?
What are you doing?
I'm owling.
Okay. Wait, why were we doing this? What is that?
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Who will lead the Grizz in steals this season?
I'm going to go with Pippen for steals this season.
So I'm going to go with Jaren.
I'm going to go, as long as he's in the rotation, I'm going to go Jake LaRavia for total steals, and I'll have Marcus Smart in my back pocket for steals per game.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzlies stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. That's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays and the evenings, and even on Saturday. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
The official college football playoff rankings updated again last night. Needless to say, Big Bet Bennett, they're controversial.
Oh, that's what I hear.
We have controversial college football playoff rankings. Okay. Oregon continues to be your number 1 seed in the projected bracket,
that
followed by
sense.
Texas at number 2, Miami at number 3, and Boise State out of the Mountain West Conference at number 4. That would be because Boise State is, according to the committee, the 4th highest ranked projected conference champion, even higher than whoever the Big 12 champion might be. Reasonable minds could disagree on that, but the College Football Playoff Committee right now has it projected as BYU. Others might go with Colorado. There's 4 teams in the bracket from the SEC, 4 teams in the bracket from the Big 10, then 1 from the Big 12, 1 from the ACC, 1 from the Mountain West Conference, and your independent, that is Notre Dame. I watched the show last night. And, you got the ESPN cast of characters in studio discussing it and debating it. And it is interesting because these are all men and women who cover the sport, 365. And they have really strong, different opinions about which team should be in, which team should be out, about where this team should be seated, where that team should be seated. And it's all rooted in the idea that they come from it from completely different angles. In other words, you've got some people in that studio, and I'm assuming that it's similar in the committee room. If you have different perspectives in a studio, it's reasonable to assume you'd have similarly different perspectives in that committee room. And so what you see last night is one studio analyst saying the body of the work is the body of work, and what's happened on the field has happened on the field, and so Team A should be in the field and seated wherever. And then somebody else would counter that by saying, well, you just tell me, if you put those 2 teams on the field, who would be favored? You get into these hypotheticals.
Yeah, I get that.
All right, but if these 2 teams played, who would you pick to win? Who would be favored? And that just leads you down a terrible, terrible path if you grab onto that and don't let go. And that's what was happening last night in the studio. For instance, Ohio State comes up or Georgia comes up. Let's just focus on Georgia. Georgia's a good one because Georgia is in the field as an at-large and seated 11th in the bracket right now. Now, let me make something clear. Based on algorithms and the way the betting markets create point spreads, there is no scenario where 10 different schools would be favored over Georgia on a neutral field tonight.
Right.
They're
I
just,
agree with that.
They're just not. They're not, right? So you got one studio analyst saying, I don't even think Georgia should be in the field with that 8-2 record, right? And then you got others saying, not only should Georgia be in the field, but Georgia should be seated higher. And you go, seated higher? Why? What have they actually done to be seated higher than where they are? And then that's where you get into well, if you put Georgia on a field with Indiana, who would be favored? And the answer to that is Georgia. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
And so one opinion is then that means Georgia should be seated higher than Indiana. But when you actually look at what's been accomplished on the field, the wins, the losses, where everything has happened, it's totally reasonable to have Indiana ahead of Georgia, even if Indiana would be an underdog to Georgia on a neutral field. And until we agree exactly what we're trying to do and the approach that we're taking, these are the types of arguments that are never, ever, ever going to weigh. Because you ready for this? And you'll see what side of the argument I'm on. I'm more of a on the field, like let's have everybody within reason has an opportunity to make their case. And I'm not worried about what a hypothetical point spread would be as much as I'm worried about evaluating resumes and bodies of work, and let's put those 12 teams in this 12-team bracket. Because you ready? And this is how I would hammer home that point. Georgia plays UMass this weekend. Georgia is 8-2. UMass is 2-8. Georgia is a massive favorite, 42 points. Needless to say, if Georgia were to lose to UMass, they would be out of this bracket when it updates next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
No chance, right?
Right.
Okay. You ready for this? If they lost to UMass on Saturday and had to play Indiana on Sunday, they would still be favored over Indiana.
Yeah,
even with the loss to UMass.
That's true.
All right. So would you argue then, well, who would be favored, Georgia or Indiana? Would you then argue that 3-loss Georgia that just lost to UMass should be in the field ahead of Indiana because they would be favored over Indiana on a neutral field? Would you argue that? Nobody would argue that, right? So why are you arguing it now? If you wouldn't argue it after a loss to UMass, why would you argue it now? My point being, hypothetical point spreads should play, I'd argue, no role, but at most, very little role in these conversations. We should be rewarding people for what they've done on the football field, and though that is evidence in some parts of that bracket, it's not clear 1 through 12. And that's where most of the controversy seems to stem from.
Number 2.
Big college basketball game last night. It happened at Fiserv Forum up in Milwaukee. Final score, Marquette 76, Purdue 58. And I don't bring this up because I know everybody listening cares about Big East programs and Big Ten programs, but the star of the game, he's a Memphis native, Cam Jones. ECS graduate. He messed around and got a triple-double last night.
I guess everybody's getting triple-doubles last night, huh?
17 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists in 36 minutes. He is looking like a All-American candidate, Big East Player of the Year candidate. And like I've said before, I'm not predicting this exactly, but it's not crazy to think the Big East Player of the Year and the SEC Player of the Year could both be Memphis natives in this season.
That's pretty cool.
Cam Jones at Marquette, Matthew Morrell down at Ole Miss. After the game, Cam was great. As you know, we talked about it earlier in the week. His high school coach was Terry Tippett at ECS.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Terry, of course, passed over the weekend at the age of 79. And Cam took a moment to, mention his high school coach. Said that he wanted to dedicate last night's performance to Coach Tippett and really this entire season to Coach Tippett. So I thought that was sweet. And that was the first triple-double a Marquette player has turned in since Dwayne Wade got one against Kentucky in the 2003 Final Four down in New Orleans. I know in the NBA, triple-doubles are fairly common. We had one here last night. But in college basketball, they're not that normal. Evidence being that it had been more than 2 decades since a Marquette player had one, and Marquette's had incredible players come through there over the past 20-plus years. So what Cam Jones did last night was special, really launched him more so onto the national radar. And I thought it was big because, yeah, sure, you had, big Celtics-Cavs game, but you weren't opposite the NFL. You weren't opposite big-time college football. If you were watching basketball last night, you were probably watching an NBA game or Marquette-Purdue. And for Cam to have that kind of performance on that stage, big stuff from him. Always nice to see people from here do well.
Yeah.
I think preferably we'd love for him to do well in Tigers jerseys inside FedEx Forum. But the truth is, and I talked to Norton Hurd about this before, Memphis didn't really prioritize Cam Jones. I don't want to say they didn't recruit him or wouldn't have taken him, but they didn't prioritize him in any sort of meaningful way. That's among the reasons he ended up in Milwaukee. I don't want to say it's the reason he ended up in Milwaukee because there's a scenario where he might have just always wanted to get out of here, go play in the Big East, play for Shaka Smart, whatever. But it is true that Memphis did not prioritize him. And now he's somebody, and this is something I make this point often and then disregard it sometimes, like this year when I suggested Cooper Flagg might be the National Player of the Year as a freshman at Duke, and he still might be. It's very early. But often it's not that type of player. More often it is somebody who has already been a good college player, even a very good college player. They're a totally legitimate NBA prospect, enter the draft, go through it, but then decide for whatever reason to return to school. Those are the type of people that typically impact the sport. Individual awards, team accomplishments. Cam Jones is an example of that, and he had his most meaningful game of the season last night on a big stage against Purdue. Right now, he's averaging 22.6 points per game and shooting 48% from three on 5 attempts per contest. So his senior year is off to a great start. ECS graduate, doing big things in the Big East.
Number 3.
Shelby County Judge Bill Anderson is up to his nonsense again. Do you see this? According to Action News 5, Judge Anderson has granted a guy named Christopher Smith, 42 years old, a release on his own recognizance, even though Smith is charged with 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder after allegedly shooting at multiple police officers and causing a 12-hour standoff. WTF. Bill Anderson, because I've seen interviews with him before, will tell you that he's just following the law. That's debatable, obviously. But for the sake of that argument, let's say that he's right. Let's say that Bill Anderson is right. Mm-hmm. If he's right, then the law needs to be changed. Because
no
this
question.
is outrageous.
Yeah.
This is outrageous. The guy fired shots at a police officer and caused a 12-hour standoff, and you just release him with no bond. He's out there right now.
What am I missing about these kind of situations? Because this ain't the first one. This is not the first one.
It's not even the first one for him.
For Bill Anderson.
We have 2 now. Christopher Smith, who opened fire on police officers and then caused a 12-hour standoff. He gets in front of Bill Anderson. Bill Anderson's like, yeah, man, just go. You're cool. We'll see you next time.
Mm-hmm.
The rail garden shooter.
That's right. That's what we talked about. I was like, I know we talked about this recently.
A dude shot somebody at rail garden over a parking spot and got released on his own recognizance. What are we doing?
And again, it's that same line, I'm just upholding the law, which, fine. I don't want you to uphold the law.
Change the law.
Break the law.
I'm not a lawyer, but if this is the law, change the law. Who wants this? I'm a liberal who has never voted for a Republican in any major election in my life. I'm for gay rights. I'm pro-choice. I'm for stronger gun laws. And I'm only saying all this to highlight how this should not be a right-left issue. There should be no 2 sides to this one. If you're charged with attempted first-degree murder for firing shots at police officers and causing a 12-hour standoff, you should not get released on your own recognizance.
Period.
What reasonable person is arguing against what I just said, especially when the person charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder is also mentally unstable, according to his own mother? So let me make sure you understand what Bill Anderson just did. In this place where we all live and work and try to just get through our days, Bill Anderson granted a release without bond to a man who allegedly asked police officers if they wanted to die when they approached him. He granted a release with no bond to a man who then fired shots at police officers. Granted a release with no bond to a man whose mother has told authorities he is mentally unstable. Tell me how that makes any sense at all.
It does not at all.
There is somebody out there right now who we know fired shots at police officers, asked them if they wanted to die, caused a 12-hour standoff, whose mother has said he's mentally unstable, and he's out there right now. Who is okay with that?
No one. Literally.
Nobody should be okay with that. It is outrageous. And if it's just an example of a judge following the law, then change the law. Because any law that releases that guy with no bond is something that should be addressed.
Yeah, enough said.
Number 4.
Dan Orlovsky was on ESPN yesterday. Great NFL analyst. One of the best, I think. Works in studio mostly. And he introduced some new technology to the audience. Did you have a chance to see this last night?
What is this?
It came across my timeline yesterday.
Nintendo?
It almost looks like that. But just as we're talking over it, take a look at what they do. He breaks down a Buffalo offensive possession with
like a VR headset, right?
Yes. And he is able to pause it and take the angle to a receiver, to a DB, to the quarterback, and show you in great detail. I can't imagine how many hours, and it must have taken hours for him to get this comfortable with this technology, to do it on television. It's a little bit like during elections when you're watching, say, John King on CNN, and he's like,
oh, yeah.
And if you go to Maricopa County and he punches this and it's this and it's this, and he just knows exactly how to do everything.
Yeah.
You just don't know how to do that naturally. You got to spend some time with that before you learn how to do that. So Orlovsky had to spend hours with this to be able to do this. But as far as I'm concerned, this should be the future of analyst work in studios. If we have this type of technology, this should be the future. I would rather watch this stuff all day long than watch any two people argue about whether the Jets can bounce back for 30 minutes. I'd rather watch this stuff all day long because you learn something here. Mm-hmm. I think you can watch football on a very surface level and get it. Like Josh Allen's amazing. So is Patrick Mahomes, right? But you don't get this type of stuff. You don't see this when you're watching a game. I mean, maybe Peyton Manning does, when he and Eli are sitting around. But the rest of us don't understand all of this, what's going on. Exactly every little detail. What Josh Allen is supposed to see. What is he actually seeing? Where is he getting the ball? Why is he putting it there? Go to Dan Orlovsky's Twitter feed after the show's up. Not now. Be respectful. But when the show's over, go to Orlovsky's and watch this. About 6-7 minutes. And it is great. I mean, great. And it just will provide you, we're all football fans, but with a better appreciation for exactly every little thing that happens on every little play, because it is so much more than the average football fan even attempts to realize.
Yeah. And also good balance on his part. Some of my favorite videos online of old people putting on the VR headsets and falling. Like, those are amazing.
Do you guys
I
have
could watch
one?
those all day. We do not have one, no.
Yeah, they're wild.
I don't think I've ever put one on.
It's wild.
Is it? Did you fall?
No, but you feel like you're in a different place. You feel like you're in a different place.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's
I'd
weird.
like to do it. Well, that's why, when you go to, they have them at, and we didn't do it, but they have them at putt-putt, and you can do it, but you have to strap yourself in to so you can't, run around.
Yeah, like we clear space out, and you can actually in the game, in the headset, sort of build a parameter, and it will show you. So, if the dining room table's over there, you can build a wall, and okay, I can't walk any further because I'm going to hit the dining room table. So there's ways around it, but I've seen people bump into stuff and throw punches, and
I enjoy that.
They're fun. Yeah. And Dan Orlovsky looks to be great at it. So go watch this technology. This is the future of an analyst work in studio. I hope. I don't know that, but I hope that.
Number 5.
A hospice care nurse has disclosed what people tend to say most as death approaches.
Oh, God.
Well, we're all going to die, Bennett.
Yeah, that's true.
We're all going to die.
Okay. I wasn't ready.
A hospice care nurse. Okay, so this is a woman who she watches people die. Mm-hmm. What a wild life.
That's tough. I hope she gets paid well.
I hope so. I bet not as much as she should.
Probably not.
Probably not. So she spends the final moments with people, right? And what do you think the number one thing the hospice nurse said she hears from people? The most common thing. You hear it from almost everybody. There are people, because some people die abruptly, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just don't have time to.
In hospice, you do typically.
But in hospice, you typically are going to have time to this is My life is coming to an end. You reflect on things. What do you think the number one thing she said? She said almost everybody says it.
I don't want to die.
No.
I don't know.
She said the number one thing dying people, because once you're in hospice, I don't want to die is not really.
I got it.
That ain't really on the table. That ain't really on the table anymore. This is where we're headed. All right. Hospice is when you, I think, sort of should come to terms with it, right?
Yeah.
So, she said the number one thing people say is, I wish I would have understood how amazing it is to have good health. I wish I would have properly appreciated the years when I had a working body.
That makes a lot of sense. That actually makes a ton of sense.
I think about this all the time.
I do
This
too.
is one that I'm proud of myself for recognizing this.
I'm trying to now. I'm trying to catch up.
Yeah, I didn't always feel this way.
No, I haven't.
And I
either.
wish I would have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 47 years old. I'm obviously not the symbol of health, right? But I'm relatively healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't have to go to the doctor all the time. I go for checkups and whatever. I go when I'm sick, but I don't have like normal doctor's appointments. I can do anything I want to do. Go play golf. I can play baseball with my kids. You know, I can't move the way I used to move, but I am still healthy enough to do everything that I want to do for the most part. And I do appreciate that because I know it will not always be this way. And it could all change tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I do I am somebody who I do properly appreciate that I'm still healthy enough to do what I want to do on a daily basis because I know it will not always be that way. What do you think the number two thing people say?
I don't know.
They wish they wouldn't have worked so much.
Oh, now that makes a lot of sense too.
I'm conflicted on that one. I know I work too much.
Yeah.
I know that will be a regret someday, except I enjoy working.
Well,
I don't hate to work.
We're also, society is changing. Like, and not everybody, but people are getting it appears more flexibility in the workplace than they ever have before, right?
Yeah, but my thing, I don't work because I want to ignore my family. I work because I like to work, but I also enjoy my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, meaning having the means to do things.
Yeah.
So I work a lot. I work hard. I say yes a lot. So am I really doing something wrong? I do think I work too much. I also know why I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
you want that money.
Well, not just that, but I enjoy.
Come on, bro. You want that money.
I enjoy not. I know what it's like to be broke. You know?
There you go.
I know what it's like to be broke.
Yeah.
And I like not being broke. So I try to keep all the jobs I can keep.
Mm.
Now, will I regret that someday on my deathbed? Maybe. But in the meantime,
you still get to have some pretty cool experiences.
In the meantime, I'm going to go to some nice golf courses. You know? In the meantime, I'm going to play some nice golf courses.
You live it up. You work hard, play hard.
I work hard, play hard.
You work hard, play hard.
I think I understand that's a real regret people have. I'm sure I will have it. But I can rationalize my work because it allows me to everything else.
Yeah.
Number three thing, they wish they would have maintained certain relationships or friendships and not held grudges.
Yeah.
People on their deathbed go, I wish I wouldn't have. I'm getting good at this too. In the past month, hand to heart, I've reached out to two people that I just had fallen out with.
Yeah.
That I just for whatever reason, no matter whose fault it was, I just hadn't. And I just said, hey, I just wanted to talk to you. Just see how you're doing. That's all. And if there's anything we need to clear up, I'd like to clear it up. If there's anything we need to say to each other, I'd like to say that. I've done that twice in the past month.
Nice.
And you ready for this? Both conversations were awesome.
Now you feel good.
And you know what at least one of the people said? Dude, I've been waiting every day for you to call. And I said, man, I've been waiting every day for you to text. We've been thinking about each other for years. And neither one of us would do. And I just said, you know what? I'm tired of thinking about this. I'm going to be the one who reaches out. And I did, and it was like the best conversation I've had in a long time. Good 15-minute conversation.
Nice.
And now and what prompted it is I saw this person somewhere. And when I saw him, if I would have seen him 10 years ago, I'd walked up and gave him a hug. And I saw him, and it was just like a distant one of those. And I was like, I don't like the way that felt. That did not feel right. I know this person. We've spent real time together. I should not hit him with a head nod. I should have walked over and then been like, how are your kids doing? I said, that's what I reached out. I texted the person. I said, hey, good to see you. But I hated that. I hated the way it made me feel. And so if you don't want to talk, I understand. But I'd like to talk if we can. Call back, perfect conversation.
Okay.
So that might not be something I carry around with me on my deathbed. I think I'm doing pretty good.
I'm going to hang on to those. That's good advice.
It is good advice. In all seriousness, it's great advice. Think about it. We are all going, for the most part, we're going to be in this situation.
Yeah.
If most people who end up where we're all going to end up say the exact same things, why would we listen to them?
It's true. It's true.
It's true.
I like it.
It's true.
I like it.
It's true.
That's inspired me.
Appreciate your good health if you have it.
Yeah.
Try to have good work-life balance. And don't hold grudges. And don't let relationships go places they don't need to go. If there's a way to salvage something, fix something, get off your chest, get it off your chest. Good advice from a hospice nurse, I think.
Boom.
Be back with GP's Carryout.
I can't tell you how many people texted me and thought it was the funniest thing ever that you were sitting on the front row in your jersey.
Yo, no.
You were wearing a Tony Allen jersey on the front row. They're like, yo, tell him to check in.
That joke was smeedy. I told Tia, I said,
Yo,
man,
I
you
did
should
have a hoodie on, though. I mean, a sweater.
I told Tia, you should have sized up on that joint, man.
Yo, shout out to Robin Hood, man.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
It's the top 5 worst teams in the NFL. I think the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL.
I got the Saints number 1. Ha! Let's put the Aints up there. They're terrible.
I'll take the Titans as my worst team in the NFL. If they played Will Levis, they're for sure the worst team. Maybe in NFL history. Might be worse than the 0-16 Lions if they play Will Levis.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Can't wait. It's time to get it popping.
It's going to be crazy. The fans are going to be loud. We need just energy.
We're going to need, the Forum rocking. We're going to need, everybody in Memphis to be out there to come to support. When the fans are good, we're good. Simple as that.
A Bane 3, yes sir! Desmond Bane with ice water in his veins.
We'll ride the energy together.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. We're inside the Built for Tough studio. Let's wrap this up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
Whole bunch of stuff, but we mostly focused on your Memphis Grizzlies, who had a disappointing performance last night inside FedEx Forum. Turns out you can't get a 2-game sweep over the Nuggets, even when Nikola Jokic ain't even in town. Final score 122-110. Nuggets over the Grizzlies. And, of course, the big story, Vince Williams has to leave the game with an ankle injury. We'll get the report, I'm assuming, from Grizzlies PR at some point today, but I'm not certain we're going to love the injury report when it comes in. We'll see. We'll see.
What's today's biggest game?
Let's do some college basketball, Big
Okay.
Matt Bennett.
Yep.
You got your win Did you get your win last night?
Yeah, I thought Boston handled Cleveland, right?
Yeah, but they only won by 3, and you were laying 5.5.
That's not true.
Is
that true?
They were laying. You were
oh
up
my God!
Big. You were up big.
I didn't even see the end of the game. They were up like 7.
They were up big. You laid 5.5. At one point, the Celtics were up 21, but they only win by 3. It's another loss for Big Bet Bennett.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay. We're going to the SEC Network. It's an 8 o'clock tip. Number 25, Illinois, against number 8, Alabama. We're going to do it down at Legacy Arena in Birmingham. Tip is scheduled 8 o'clock. Alabama is an 8.5-point favorite. The total is 167.5. How you going to act?
It's not a true home environment.
No, it's not, but it is in the state of Alabama, about an hour away from Tuscaloosa. Made the trip many times.
Just give me. I'll take Alabama.
Bennett said he's going to lay the 8.5 with Alabama. 8 o'clock, SEC Network. We'll all watch it together.
What are we watching on TV?
Can I interest you in Hot Frosty?
Is this about Frosty?
Yeah, Hot Frosty.
The snowman Frosty?
Hot Frosty? It's a 2024 American Christmas romantic comedy.
Oh, is this on the Hallmark Channel?
Netflix, baby!
Gotcha. They dabble in this kind of stuff.
A widow counters her loneliness with a magical snowman brought to life. She's trying to hook up with a snowman.
They do it?
They're trying to do it with a snowman.
I'm intrigued.
Could you do it with a snowman?
Probably.
I mean, you have to keep him cold.
Yeah, that's true. I know he does get a little steamy. Yeah,
wouldn't want him melting.
No, you wouldn't want him melting. No, that's true. I think it's doable.
I don't know if it is. I've never seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
I bet it's out there on the internet somewhere.
Probably not on this movie though.
I bet you it's out there on the internet. Do you think if
you Googled some,
do you think I could find somebody having intercourse with a snowman?
Yes, I do. Especially this time of year, like that's going to generate some views. Yeah,
I bet I could find it.
Yeah, I bet that exists.
I know what I'm doing on my flight today.
Yeah, well,
I know what I'm doing on that Delta Wi-Fi today.
Just be careful.
Hey, I know you're dismissive of romantic comedies, but
I'm not. I like a good rom-com.
I know you're dismissive of Hot Frosty. I saw the way you looked. But what if I told you the tomato meter at Rotten Tomatoes is at 89% approval?
Wow. We are a freaky country. I mean, it's...
What if I told you... I can find a video of a woman having intercourse with a snowman. Or a man having intercourse with. What do you think's more? What do you think I'll find first? A man or a woman?
A man.
It'll be a man.
Yeah,
won't
it'll be a man.
It'll be a man having.
Yeah.
That's what I'll find first.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's no evidence that any of that is in Hot Frosty.
I got you.
Okay. But it is the #1 movie at Netflix.
All right.
And it is 89% approval at Rotten Tomatoes. If you're really bored, check it out.
All right. What's the best thing we've read?
I wrote about Cam Jones in the top 25 and one. Moved Marquette into the top 10. So Cam Jones, ECS graduate, leading scorer, possible favorite to be Big East Player of the Year. And he's doing it all for a top 10 undefeated team in Milwaukee. You can read that at CBSSports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's Thursday. I'll be in New York doing the show live from Midtown Manhattan. We'll be looking back at Grizz Sixers. Getting ready for Thursday Night Football. Getting ready for Memphis, San Francisco.
Yep.
Should be a fun day. Looking forward to it already. Enjoy the rest of yours. I'm going to enjoy the rest of mine. Let's try to meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.